And we are back. It's all eyes on Cleveland on a pain-free Friday. My name is Brad Ward. I'm your host. Mikey's on the ones and twos. 3 straight days of interviews here this week. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We're just knocking them out, bang, bing, bang, boom style, quick to you. Andrew Berry spoke today. We're going to talk about that after the interview. But first, I want to get right to tonight's interview. One of my favorite guests that we've ever had on the show. He came on before the Titans-Browns game during the regular season. Dinard Walker, former defensive back in the NFL from 1997 to 2005. He started in Super Bowl 34, the epic. He started for the Titans in Super Bowl 34, the epic, 1 yard line, reach Super Bowl where they just came up short, and he played in that game, and he's an awesome guest. He currently hosts the Bleav in Titans podcast, so we're going to talk about Clowney's year with the Titans, and he's got some draft targets to talk about, so he makes for a perfect guest this time of year. So you are locked in with All Eyes on Cleveland, presented by Blue Wire Hustle. Make sure you hit that subscribe button at the bottom and enjoy the interview. We'll be back afterwards to talk a little bit about what Andrew Berry had to say today. As per usual, he did, answer the questions without saying a whole lot, but we'll kind of read between the lines what we can there. And we'll get you out of here. We're banging out the shows this week. Hopefully you've enjoyed them. Great show last night with Tony Pauline. Back today with Dinard Walker. Enjoy. We are absolutely thrilled to welcome back to All Eyes on Cleveland one of my favorite guests that we've had on the show. Former NFL defensive back from 1997 to 2005. He started in Super Bowl 34 for the Tennessee Titans. Dinard Walker. How we doing, Dinard?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. It's awesome to have you back. I didn't mention it off the top, and I should have. I was reading your other accolades. Also, of course, host of the Bleav in Titans podcast. So we wanted to have you on the show, Dinard. A lot has changed since the last time we talked. I think we talked right before the Titans-Browns game last time, right? So
yeah, when they killed us down here, absolutely.
It was a good day for Browns fans, and they finally got that win over a good team. But today we want to start off talking about Jadavian Clowney. So last year, the Browns courted him, offered him a nice big deal, and he passed on it, and eventually ended up in Tennessee on a 1-year deal for $12 million. He wasn't in camp, I don't think, right? Because he signed so late.
Right.
What did you see from Clowney? I think he played, 8 games? Is that all he played?
Yeah, it really wasn't a good fit, and sometimes that happens, He had some really great years in Houston. And the 5 years that he was in Houston from 2014 to 2018, he probably was the best defensive end in the game. Unfortunately, that's what happens when you start making money. You start moving from place to place. And I've always said there's 32 teams. Unfortunately, you don't always belong in certain places. And we see that with a lot of free agents. But what you're going to get from Jadavian this year, I know he's changing his number. He's going back to number 90. He's getting out of that 99. That might make a difference. And then you're going to pair him up, really, at least in my opinion, with the up-and-coming emerging superstar, Myles Garrett. And I think these two, oh, my goodness, I think the chemistry that if they can find chemistry, in playing with one another and knowing how to elevate each other's game and picking each other up, this can be scary for the National Football League and the AFC North.
Yeah, that's the hope, at least, right? For sure. His sack numbers haven't been there, but the people that talk about Clowney, they say it's all about disruption, not so much production, right? He's disruptive. He plays the run well. You can move him inside and outside a little bit. some of the knock on him, Denard, has been kind of like you hear those narratives of people saying like, has he lost a passion for the game or a love for the game? Did you see any signs of that in Tennessee last year?
No, no, I didn't, because I think when he was in the game, he was very productive. Again, just because you're not getting the sacks, that doesn't mean that you're not putting in work. I think so many times from the outside and the critics is that if a defensive end, especially of Jadavian Clowney's his talent level, you always expect him to say put in like 10 some sacks a year, and that just don't happen. I mean, that's just not the
Yeah.
way it works in this league. But you said it right, B. If you're disruptive, that's what you want in a defensive end. When you look at the greats that have played this game, Michael Strahan, Kevin Green, some of the best DNs, Hall of Famers, yeah, they got the sack numbers, but more importantly, if you look at the way they played, and sometimes they may go a few games without a sack, but they were disruptive. And sometimes what we don't look at is the TFL, the tackle for losses. And Jadavian has been in the top since he came in the league in 2014. So again, I tell people, and I tell a lot of critics all the time, don't get caught up in the sacks. You know, it's just like with a defensive back. You know, sometimes we're judged, and I like to say we because I played this game, is how many picks. But sometimes they don't see where a defensive back or corner is setting the edge, which, you know, making the ball have to bounce in, which, you know, running backs love to get outside. But if he can't, you know, that's yardage. You know, that's where you can win or lose the football games. But they don't see that. They don't see the little things, the pass breakups. We're so fixated on certain categories like the sacks and the interceptions, but we don't see the little things. And Jadavian, he can bring that to this unit.
Yeah, he does the little things, right? Absolutely. So, setting the edge. One of the things that I kind of commented on, tell me what you think of this. When you look at the AFC, right, and you look at the top teams in the AFC, and you go Patrick Mahomes, you know, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, if you really want to beat those teams, what, you know, the common denominator there is all of those quarterbacks are athletic, they're going to get out of the pocket, they're going to make plays. For me, Clowney is that kind of guy you want to have to combat that. Not so much just a straight away beat you one-on-one pass rusher, but a guy that can corral those guys. What do you think about that?
Well, you know what? Let's not forget now, he was the #1 overall pick in 2014.
Yeah.
So he's no slouch, you know, and he's only 28 years old. So listen, he still he's in his prime. He's just hitting his prime. I think Jadavian is going to go off this year because he has probably listened to the critics. A lot of players will listen sometimes, and they will use that as fuel. I think, and he said it best. I love when he signed with Cleveland. He quoted, I'm quoting him verbatim. He says, I just want to show that I'm still an elite player. And you know what? He said it best. He's got something to prove. He's got something to prove that he's still up there with the top, you know, top players at his position.
Yeah, for sure. You are watching All Eyes on Cleveland with terrific guest Dinard Walker, former NFL defensive back, multiple teams, but started in Super Bowl with the Titans. Picked off Peyton Manning twice. Last time he came on the show, I think we showed that with the Broncos, right? And host of the Bleav in Titans podcast. And I listen to you guys all the time, and I've been listening to some of your draft work. So let's kind of transfer over to that here. I kind of was looking at this, Dinard, and it looks like the Browns and the Titans have similar needs here. Corner, edge, right? You know, I know you've been evaluating some edge rushers. Who do you really like at the top of this class, or that would be there? You know, the Titans and the Browns are both picking in the 20s. Who do you like as an edge rusher in the 20s that might be there?
Well, you know what? Me and Davey both agreed. We love Azeez Ojulari out of Georgia. Undersized, but productive. And I love his play. He reminds me of a young Dwight Freeney. Very explosive off the ball, very disruptive. And when you watch him play, about 80% of the snaps, he's in the opponent's backfield. That's what you want out of a defensive end, especially a rush end. So I'm just crossing my fingers that the Titans, that Aguilar, that he's going to fall right when the Titans when they make that first round draft pick. I hope he's right there. I think they 29, I believe. I'm not for sure. I need to go back and check that. But you know what? I'm very excited about this young man. I think he would be a great fit for the Titans organization, and I think he would mix in well with Harold Roberson, also with Derek Roberson and Harold Landry and that new front. I'm just excited. I mean, I think this would be a great draft pick for the Titans.
Now, I know you were a defensive back yourself, so obviously, evaluating corners is where I'm going to go next here. But I wanted to ask you this question. So many players, right, in this draft, or a lot of the players, are being devalued because they didn't play football last year, right? So they took a year off. What is, as a former player, how does that impact you? I mean, would that be difficult to take a year off like that, especially going from like the college level to the pro level?
No, you know why? You know what? Let's think about. So I had a chance to watch Jamar Chase, his pro day. And of course, he took the year off. And a lot of people think when a guy takes a year off, he's not doing anything. No, he's working because he knows that, listen, I'm trying to get to the league. So he's just had a little bit more time to prepare than others. And he's not as tired. Listen, think about it. When the season is over, let's say in December or January, for a lot of juniors or seniors that are declaring for the draft, a lot of times, a lot of players are beat up. They're tired mentally from the season. So when you've had a year to basically not have to go through a rigorous season where you're not beat up, you're fresh. And we saw that in Jamar Chase pro day. I mean, he lit it up and he showed why he's probably going to be the first receiver taken off the board. For sure.
There's some good corners in this draft. Who are some of your favorites? And who do you like, late first round cornerbacks?
Well, I'm very high on Caleb Farley. I love him out of Virginia Tech. Greg Newsome II, just a monster out of Northwestern. He's a young man, a young player that I love the way that he plays zone. I love the way that he played man-to-man coverage. No space when it comes to covering receivers. And I'm just excited. I know that Surtain, he's probably going to be gone, but I'm just excited about this draft because there's a lot of talent. And I feel like the Titans, no matter who they go out and get, Farley, Newsome, I think they're going to fit well into the Titans system.
Let me ask you about, so I got like a favorite guy that I really like a lot. And I know that you have a guy that you like a lot too, that's kind of maybe not at the forefront of these guys. Have you gotten a chance to watch any of Tyson Campbell from Georgia play at all?
Yes. I love his play.
Yeah, I'm really high on him. I know the guy that you like, and I listen to your show a lot because I value your opinion so much, Dinard. But, I know that another guy that you like a lot, and also I think is somebody that people should be talking about more, is Paulson Adebo.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about what kind of player he is?
My favorite player, and let me tell you why. Okay, let me give you a little hint. Adebo has a lot in common with y'all stud and Myles Garrett. They have a lot in common. You never guess. Both guys are from Mansfield, Texas, which is right down the street from my house, literally about 20 minutes away. It's a suburb.
Really?
Right by Arlington. That's where Myles Garrett is from, Mansfield, a place where they develop what I call great talent comes out of that city. I don't know what they're drinking out of Mansfield, but the University of Oklahoma, where my son goes, they probably got 3 players on that team from Mansfield, Texas. And Adebo is my favorite because he set out this year because of COVID, like a lot of players, and that's understandable. But what I love about Adebo, he is a shut down corner. I compare him a lot to Richard Sherman, another Stanford alumni. Okay, very big, very tall, about 6'1", but Adebo is very aggressive. There's a game that I love, the Notre Dame receiver who's turning up for the Steelers right now.
Claypool,
Chase Claypool. I watched this game and I evaluated. That's how I evaluate talent. Is I like to see where talent on talent, iron sharpens iron, and Adebo actually takes out Claypool. And I mean, the whole game he was on Claypool, no separation. He basically had about 3 or 4 passes defended, and he basically took one side of the field completely away. And so when you got a corner of that caliber that can eliminate one side of the field like Deion Sanders, that is a huge plus for your defense.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. All right, let me ask you this: any guys that you have found as far as like sleepers that we should keep an eye on that you like in this draft that you think could be potential stars that people aren't paying attention to? Any sleepers you got for me here, Dinard?
Sleepers this year, man. You know what? I think Toney out of Florida, Kadarius Toney.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people are talking about him. He's just kind of gone under the radar. Well, they want to talk about his size, but he reminds me of a 6th-round draft pick years ago by the name of Antonio Brown, another Floridian. I love Toney out of Florida. He's a monster. He's a playmaker. And he's the kind of player that I feel like will galvanize an offense. He reminds me of a lot of a Wes Welker, but a little bit of Hines Ward, because he's very physical, but yet he's shifty. You can put him in a slot. Sometimes you can put him on the edge. He can create, chaos for a defense. So Toney's my man. I really love this player out of Florida. Nobody's talking about him. But again, I think when he gets to the league, like a lot of guys like Hollywood Brown, I know they went first, but I think that he's a young man that can bring a lot of production to an offense.
Yeah, I agree. I like him too. This one, again, extremely deep wide receiver class. You're watching All Eyes on Cleveland with special guest Dinard Walker, host of Bleav in Titans podcast. Let's talk about the Titans for a minute. What are you expecting from them in 2021? We had the cap crunch year where everybody kind of, free agency, some teams were up against it. What do you expect from the Titans this year? A step forward, a step back? What's your expectations like?
Well, if you step backwards, you might lose your job.
Seriously.
Hey, it's like Cleveland. In the past, you always expected Cleveland to kind of step back. They're going to always find a way to step back. Not anymore. It's a new Browns team. And that's the same thing with the Titans. You can't regress. You got to progress in this league in order to have a job. And so as long as we got King Henry, I like to refer to him. I don't call him Derek no more. That gives you a chance. We have A.J. Brown, arguably right now, he's coming on or emerging as the next great receiver in this league. I think before his time is up, at the way that he's playing and the way that the production that he's putting in, he could be one day a gold jacket player. And then, of course, we got Ryan Tannehill, Mr. Relevant, Mr. Do-It-All. So we got our trio of studs. And then when I look at our defense, I'm thinking to myself, you know what? We got something to prove next year. And, of course, we get Kevin Johnson. Basically, you guys didn't want him at Cleveland, so we took him. And I'm very excited what this defense is going to do next year. I really believe that this team will make a huge jump, and they're going to get better. I think this is going to be a really good team in 2021.
Yeah, I mean, so Kevin Johnson, I was going to mention that, he's going over there. I'm not the biggest fan. So, first-round talent, right? Had a great year in Buffalo, then came to Cleveland. He was kind of pushed into, playing outside corner because of COVID and missing players and things like that, when he's really a slot nickel guy, truly. So he was kind of pressed into, duty that probably was a little over his pay scale, But the Browns let him walk because obviously they upgraded and went out and got Troy Hill to play that position. They also got John Johnson III, Tack McKinley, Anthony Walker, and then Clowney. What did you think about the Browns free agency?
I thought they hit it really good. You know who I like is Billings. You know, Andrew Billings.
Yes.
Off the Baylor Bear. Yeah. You know, AKA the strong arm. I've watched this player since I've been watching Billings since he was at Baylor. And one of the things that he's known for is just being disruptive because he's so strong. I mean, he's one of the he's considered one of the strongest high school football players ever to come out of the state of Texas because they used to they would do a lot of his powerlifting meets, and he would just lift this crazy weight. And I think he's going to add so much upside. And then when you think about you guys' defensive line, the Browns' defensive line in 2021 with Garrett and Clowney, then Jordan Elliott and Billings, and then you talk about Togiai, Walker, and Phillips. Oh my goodness! And not to mention, you know, we got LSU, DBU basically has taken over the city of Cleveland with Delpit and Williams, my two favorite players, because they went to LSU, and I am being biased, of course. And then Denzel Ward. You know, Cleveland's got all the pieces to not only just make it to the AFC championship. They got all of the pieces to win it all next year. And this is my team to win it in 2021.
That's awesome to hear. I'm sure that makes a lot of our fans very excited to hear you say that, Dinard. The Titans going into the draft, it's pass rush, right? That's all they're missing, right? In your opinion?
Yes. Okay. Well, you know, right. Everybody wants to talk about the pass rush, and yes, we were almost dead last in sacks last year. But you know what? This defense, when they was put in a lot of adversity in situations that it was no fault of their own. I think about the game against the Colts down in Nashville, where the Colts came in and basically beat us. I think it was a game that the Titans really beat themselves. That game, it really wasn't on the defense. I thought the defense was placed in on a 4th and 1 on the goal line, and they were able to stop the Colts. And I think they played well. What I like about this unit is they rise to the occasion when adversity hits them. And that's something that you cannot coach. That's something that a defensive unit, they have to develop that. And one of the things I love about this defense, they didn't get a lot of credit when they stepped up in bad situations. So, you know, people want to talk about the lack of sacks, but I will say this about this team is they are a resilient bunch. And as long as you can keep that mentality, I think there's great things going to happen down the line, not only next year, but for years to come.
Absolutely. Well, Dinard, I cannot thank you enough for making time for us again. We wanted to take your temperature on Clowney, of course, and get your thoughts on the draft. I urge everyone out there to go check out Bleav in Titans podcast. You don't have to be a Titans fan to want to listen to Dinard Walker talk football. I can promise you that. It's excellent every single time. So I'm a fan. I'm signed up. I listen to all your stuff. So and love having you on. Former NFL defensive back, 1997 to 2005. Started in the Super Bowl 34 for the Titans. 3rd round pick. Of course, LSU. Got all our LSU guys in Cleveland here. So we know that.
Landry.
Hey, yeah, OBJ, Landry, Greedy, Delpit coming back now. Anybody, who's your favorite guy coming out of LSU this year? Do you like Jabril Cox?
You know, I like them all. I'll be honest with you. I'm gonna be biased.
Yeah.
You know what? If Cleveland draft him, then again, it's just gonna better help your team get to the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, man. Phillips. I mean, they love taking those LSU guys, so that's for sure. Yeah. So we'll keep our eye on that. All right, man, you're fantastic as always. Thank you for your time. Go check out the Bleav in Titans podcast. Dinard Walker, everybody. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, B. Appreciate it.
back on All Eyes on Cleveland on a pain-free Friday edition. That was Dinard Walker, former NFL defensive back for the Titans, a number of other teams. He is now the host of the Bleav in Titans podcast. Awesome guest, very cool dude, weighing in on Clowney's time with the Titans, and of course, some draft stuff, as we've been hitting the draft hard all week long. As we go through this weekend into draft week next week, it's going to get exciting. They got, downtown looking nice and everything there. Let's talk a little bit about what we heard from Andrew Berry today, who spoke to the press. I just wanted to hit on a couple things. So these numbers are a little interesting, right? So 1,100 players, evaluated all the way down to their draft board, which is now 114 draftable players is what they have, or what he said. And 54 priority free agents. So what comes to mind there is just the process of elimination, and you think about the Browns guardrails and some of the things that they do. So, with 1,100 players getting it down to 114 draftable, which seems like a really small number because that's like 3 rounds worth of players. But that's all they have is draftable players, 54 priority free agents. But, you eliminate a lot of them, I think, with the Browns due to age. They care a lot about age. They want young guys, right? They don't want an older, there's guys that are right on the edge of the age, their guardrail there, but they don't want to take an older player necessarily in the draft. They want to take younger guys. And medical is going to eliminate a guy. So each team has different standards as far as that goes, but when you take into account age and medical, you're going to, probably cut a lot of those players and just eliminate them from that process of evaluation. Barry said he felt really good about his staff, his scouting staff ability to, with all of the limitations to getting to players and no combine, they feel like they have adequate information on all the players in the draft. He was very, when asked about, need, right? And drafting certain positions and things like that. He was very much, the draft is about the future. It's about developing players for the future. He used a quote from Bill Polian, "Your needs today aren't your needs tomorrow." He said he finds that out to be more true with every day that he has the job. This is his quote in regards to what he wants to do really with the picks, again addressing their evaluation over need or over value of position, quote unquote, maximize the long-term impact of the roster with each pick. And that's kind of where he went with that. Very much downplayed the need-based picks. So, of course that it's take some of that with a grain of salt because that's what everybody says, or that's what all the GMs say. Of course, need and position value are going to come into the picture at some point and play a factor in who they take at 26, 59, 81, or 89, 91, etc. He felt that they were very flexible where they're at, which makes a lot of sense. Asked about the cornerback room, which was a good question, I thought, because that is, for me, like the position that needs to be addressed, right? And shouldn't necessarily be like, oh, well, we can just get a corner wherever. I feel like they need to get somebody that can contribute this year. And he said he felt very comfortable with the cornerback room as is. Well, let's take a real quick at the cornerback room as is. You have Denzel Ward, Troy Hill, and Greedy Williams as your potential starters, right? Greedy, we don't know what we're going to get. That nerve damage scares me. That's very much written in with pencil, in my opinion. Beyond that, you go to MJ Stewart, AJ Green, Robert Jackson, and Brian Allen. There's no depth in that cornerback room with the loss of Terrence Money Mitchell, and really even less depth at the wide corner position, unless they expect Brian Allen to step up, or they signed Robert Jackson to a deal who played his ass off in those games against the Steelers, but I wouldn't be counting on him. That's why I feel like, corner is needs to be an actual focus for them. Of course, he's not going to talk about that in the press conference. Talked about Curtis Weaver. Talked about he did a great job rehabbing his toe and transforming his body in this time period off. And then evaluating opt-outs. He said he felt comfortable and that they had enough information on all of the opt-out players that it wouldn't really play that much of a factor. We had an all eyes on Cleveland poll out going all week. I updated it after the first show with Charlie Campbell on Wednesday. It finished today. Asked all of you what position you would like to see taken at pick 26. 33% of you said linebacker. 5.8% of you said wide receiver. 44.3% said cornerback, and defensive tackle / defensive end. So the defensive line garnered 16.2% of the votes. So interesting there. I totally agree. Cornerback is what it's all about for the Browns moving forward. Let's do this before we get out of here today. It's a sucker-free Friday, pain-free Friday here on All Eyes on Cleveland, and it's been a busy week. So let's see if we can let's have a little fun here and do this. Oh, Mikey, help me out with my screen there, buddy. What's going on there? There we go. All right, let's do a little mock draft. How about we do that, Mikey? You down? All right, let's do a little mock. We're gonna go to the Pro Football Network mock draft simulator here. I like to use all of them. I haven't posted many of these, as you see them all over the place. But let's go ahead and draft. You see we have it ready here for the Browns on regular speed. And the draft starts as usual. They got Justin Fields at 3. Pitts at 5 to the Bengals. That's interesting. Surtain at 10 to Dallas. I actually think that's really where he will go. Owosu Koromoa coming off the board early. There goes Ojulari, Barmore, Bateman. They're going to limit my choices here big time. So we get here. We're going to go trade offers. Tempting. This is very, very tempting here, right? So you can go back 3 spots. Is this right? Go back 3 spots and pick up a 92nd overall pick with this trade. Let's see what the other one is. 2022 picks. This is for fun, so I'm not so much interested. I'm going to take this. I'm going to take this trade right here. That's too good to be true right there. So we're going to take that and pick up a pick there. No thank you. On this, no thank you. No thank you. I'm gonna take my pick at 29. I want to stay in the first round here. Let's take a look at best available here. Caleb Farley jumps right off the page for me there. Trevin Merrick there. Safety Gregory Rousseau, Terrence Marshall. Melifonwu, I like a lot. Jalen Phillips still on the board. Kelvin Joseph, Baron Browning, Richie Grant. As we kind of take a look at who is the best available on the board still. Asante Samuel, Alan McNeil is a guy I would be interested in, but not at this point in the draft. Once again, my focus is on cornerback, and at this point in the draft, I'm willing to go ahead and make my pick on Farley at 29 here. And I understand the back issues and the concerns there, but that's what I'm going to go with in this scenario for sure. And take him as a guy that, he could be really, really special. A lot of people feel like he's the best corner in the draft if you take away the back issues. And then you hear other people say, well, 1 back procedure leads to 2 back procedures in most cases, and that's interesting as well. So here we are at 59. We're going to reject this trade here. and see what we have on the board. I certainly do like Basham Jr. at this point in the draft. Let's see what else we got here. Asante Samuel still there. Aaron Robinson is a corner who I like a lot. I really like Brown as a wide receiver. Joe Tryon, edge from Washington. I like a lot. Let's see here. The guy, oh, there's my guy, Tyson Campbell. Oh, what could have been so sweet. Campbell is available there. I'm going to go ahead and say that if this was my pick here, I would go with Joe Tryon, edge from Washington at 59. And that's the pick that we have in the second round there. Now, we picked up an extra third by trading back 3 spots in the first round, which seemed like a no-brainer to me with the players that were on the board at that point. So we're going to kind of proceed down here and see what we get when we get into the late 80s. Is we should have 3 picks bunched together here, all together here. So we're going to reject that. And let's see what kind of needs we can address here. So Weaver's still on the board. I see a guy, right away, I like, Dwayne Eskridge, that is a guy that I am super high on, and a lot of people are really high on right now. There's Brevin Jordan, tight end from Miami. A lot of guys here to like still in this area. There's Paulson Adebo, the guy, the cornerback from Stanford that Dinard Walker just got done talking about, that he's so high on. He was also in Chris Sims' top 5 cornerbacks. Chaz Surratt, linebacker from North Carolina, is very enticing as a need for the Browns there. But I'm going to go ahead and take Tommy Togiai, or however you say that, Togiai, from Ohio State at defensive tackle. I like him a lot. I think that he would be a good rotational piece, and we even just talked to last night on the show to Josh Keatley, who's now working at the Buckeyes Wire as well as the Browns Wire, and he is high on him as a defensive tackle. I think he's a good fit for the Browns. They scoop him up at 89. No, thank you. No, thank you. All right, so we're coming right back here, and I am going to go ahead and get Dwayne Eskridge, wide receiver from Western Michigan. Beast. Love this guy. Love this guy. Coming right back here, again, this is the extra pick we picked up for trading back 3 spots. And I'm going to slide down here and take linebacker from North Carolina, Chaz Surratt. I feel or Surratt, I don't know how you would say that, but I know that he is the kind of linebacker that, I think can challenge Phillips, push him for that off-ball linebacker position, and a guy that the Browns could use in that room, a guy that can cover as well. So I like him from North Carolina, and they're in the, having the 3 picks there at 89, 91, and 92 serves the Browns very well, as we have knocked off cornerback, defensive tackle, linebacker, and wide receiver already. So that kind of, and edge in the second round with Joe Tryon. So here we are at 110. Let's see what we got available here. This is where it gets kind of crazy, but once again, Paulson Adebo on the board still. Like him a lot. Going to take him. We took Farley early, but really this gives the Browns in this scenario, it gives the Browns an opportunity to double up on cornerback in case it doesn't work out with Farley's back, right? So Tyler Shelvin is a good player at defensive tackle there that I like a lot. But I like Adebo, however you say his name, there a ton from Stanford. Once again, in Sims, Chris Sims' top 5 cornerbacks. in this class, and we just got done with Dinard Walker talking about what a good player he was as well. So taking him at 110, I think, is an absolute steal. So we move on here in the draft. So if we're looking at kind of like what the Browns, want to do here, we can kind of look at best player available at this point. We've addressed any real needs. Do they want to add to the safety room? Should it be available? I think that would make sense to maybe add one more body there and force out any of the nonsense players that are currently residing on the roster. And so right away I can see here, I'm going to scroll down a little bit. This Dayo Odeyingbo from Vanderbilt is an intriguing player. Injury issues, I believe, but a high upside. Jamian Sherwood, Auburn, great player. There's some players here. Anthony Schwartz is very intriguing as a wide receiver with speed, which is certainly something the Browns need, is a speed element. However, at this point, for me, it's kind of between. I like Tony Fields a little bit too, but it's not really, I don't think, what the Browns need. I think that I would be between Gillespie here and the other safety, Sherwood, is kind of where I'm looking. And I'm going to go with, I actually think I'm going to go with Sherwood. I like him a little bit more here at 132. So Jamian Sherwood added to the safety room, and that adds some depth there, should it be needed during the season for the Browns in the safety room. Moving along in the draft here, as we are in the 150s now. This is fun. I could do this all day. Mikey, we could just do this all day. Just do this all night. We'll just go from site to site, do draft after draft. We getting any feedback here? No feedback. All right, that's all good. It's all good. Chuba Hubbard, Rodarius Williams, David Moore, Quentin Morris, Shaka Toney, Jamie Newman, quarterback from Georgia. As we kind of look here, Sage Surratt from Wake Forest. I like St. This is such a deep corner class, I think. There's just so many good corners down the board here. But the guy that I'm going to take, and he is a developmental guy, but when we already addressed edge with Tryon, but I don't think you can have enough pass rushers ever. But Jamarius Robinson from Florida State is a guy that would be valued so much higher and that has a huge ceiling, in my opinion. Low risk, high reward pick here with Robinson, who could be an elite edge, and I'm going to take him at 169 and really bolster that room. So I've doubled up now on corner and edge. I just think those are important positions for the Browns, if addressing this as they remake their defense here. So I hit him twice. Farley and Adebo, Tryon, and Robinson there from Florida State, who is a guy that potentially could have been taken higher. I don't remember the full story on him right now. I can't rattle off the top of my head, but I know that he has a huge upside, and that's where we are with that. So I doubled up on him. I like adding two guys to that room. Your chances of hitting are obviously so much higher. Here we are at 211. Taking a look at what's on the board here. Darren Hall, Trey Norwood from safety from Oklahoma, Noah Gray, tight end Duke. Interesting. Shane Buechele, SMU quarterback. Thought about in this draft them potentially needing to take a running back at some point, But the guy that I'm going to take here is another high upside guy, because this isn't really a position of need, but we don't, you never know what's going to happen. And Njoku's been on the trade block before, but Pro Wells, tight end from TCU, is a guy I like a lot with a high upside. And I'm going to add him to the Browns roster. Continue to cultivate tight ends in this tight end needy offense, but he could be a real threat in the pass catching game. There are a number of tight end sleepers in this draft. I think it's a piss poor tight end class. It's a piss poor defensive line class. However, when you look at sleepers and guys that maybe have this issue or that issue, but really could turn into something special, there are a few tight ends that jump off. I am going to be working on a sleepers piece this week. You can look for it at the Browns Wire. We'll probably follow it up with a video to hit on some of those guys. I actually tweeted out about one of the defensive backs that I like for that a lot. So you can check that out. I tweeted out his raw athletic scores, Raz, out on Twitter, and talked about him a little bit. Oh, we don't want full results. How do we go back? Come back. It's ruined. It was ruined. Anyways, you saw as that was the draft there done by me on the spot at PFN's Draft Mock Simulator. We got two corners, Caleb Farley. We got a Debo later. We traded back 3 spots to get an extra pick at 92. We got Joe Tryon. We got Robinson, the kid from Florida State, at edge as well. We were able to get our defensive tackle from Ohio State with Tommy T. I don't know how to say his last name properly. Togiai. And then we also got Pro Wells, the tight end from TCU. Who else did we address there as we were going through there? We took the safety, Jamian Sherwood, from Auburn as well. And I think that rounds out the Browns class. Yeah, we got an extra pick, but it enabled us to get 2 good corners and 2 good edges in that situation. So that was fun. We do that all day, Mikey. But hope you enjoyed the show here tonight. The interview with the very awesome Dinard Walker. Go check out his show at Bleav in Titans. The Bleav Podcast Network is just awesome. Thanks to Cam Rogers for hooking me up with so many great guests from over there, including Tony Pauline yesterday. And remember, he's having the lunch event down at Lago East Bank Thursday and Friday afternoon. Draft down there. He'll be talking draft rumors, draft insider stuff, all the good stuff from Tony Pauline, who was on yesterday, and Charlie Campbell, who was on Wednesday. So we went Charlie Campbell from Walter Football. We went Tony Pauline from PFN and Bleav podcasts. He has 2 podcasts, one with Trey Wingo, one with Chris Tribodi. The Tribodi one is on Bleav in Podcasts. And then we went with Dinard Walker from Bleav in Titans, ex-NFL defensive back today, to talk about Clowney and more draft. We did a little mock draft last night. We played over and under with Josh Keatley on the prop bets from betonline.ag. So it's been a fun week. Draft just coming at you in waves. That's how we're doing it here at All Eyes on Cleveland. Hit the subscribe button. It helps us out so much on the way out. Hope you enjoyed another one. We'll be back next week. Just more stuff. As I said, we'll have my sleeper article out. We'll do a definite video on that after the article is released at brownswire.com. But this has been All Eyes on Cleveland. Thanks to Dinard Walker again for making time for us. For Mikey on the ones and twos, this has been a Blue Wire Hustle production. My name is Brad Ward. We are out.